It got the stuffing knocked out of it.
Oh shit. Happy Thanksgiving. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to another episode of Cybersecurity Amplified and Intensified with your host, Eric Taylor, myself, Shiva Maharaj. And today we are going to kick it off with Emotet. We killed it in April, but it's back with the help of TrickBot, and seemingly Conti has been using it to spread and grow its influence in the world.
It's back, and this time it's fucking pissed.
I want to throw something out there, and I'm going to catch a lot of flack for this, but fuck it. This is what we do. Eric, do you know any cybersecurity practitioner who actually wants ransomware to go away?
To a degree, yeah, but
really,
for a revenue standpoint, no. It's
how
a cash
many
cow.
people that are working right now would be tits up out of a job if ransomware was gone and there were no malicious actors?
A fair amount of people.
And I bring this up, it's like lawyers, right? It's like lawyers wanting everyone to be good, just, and true. They don't want that shit. They want to bang out $1,000 an hour appointments. My point here is, ladies and gentlemen, do not let people use fear, uncertainty, and doubt to sell you on what you should be doing to protect your systems. Protect your systems because they are yours, just as they would be your home or anything else you value. Take care of it. Now, I'm off my soapbox. Back to Emotet.
Well, I mean, it's like, I could jump on your soapbox that you stepped off a little bit, but, I've used the analogy many times of, I'm going to walk into your building, throw all of your stuff into a U-Haul truck, put a padlock with armored guards on it. Now what are you going to do?
Call the Russians. They'll be able to get in.
Are you going to really walk out of your house in, let's just say 98% of America? We'll take the quote unquote flyover states and the old backwoods foreign people out of the equation here.
And the vets.
Yeah.
Take the vets out. You can leave Meal Team 6 in there.
Oh my God. You got to explain Meal Team.
And all of their Tacti-Cool gear, nods, level 4 plates and everything else because, well, that shit sells.
Oh God. You're going to have to explain Meal Team 6 for people who may not understand that.
Okay. So I think everybody knows SEAL Team 6, DevGru, tier 1 operators, really good at what they do, whatever it is they do. I don't know, but lots of good movies about them. And as someone once said, a really good historical book was written by Richard Marcinko called Ghost Warrior.
Yep.
Which was later identified as fiction by this person who was former Gold Team, I believe. Meal Team 6 is what I affectionately call the hobbyist who likes to buy ARs, plates, lots of magazines, and all the Tacti-Cool stuff that they have no concept on how to use. And that has become my go-to joke with Eric over here when I make fun of these people, minus most of the veterans. Because I feel like veterans know what they're doing, or should know. They had the training. As opposed to the Meal Team 6, who is usually overweight, can barely hump a ruck, and will probably misfire their weapon.
More than one weapon.
At the same time.
It's going to be one of those shows, man. We're out of practice. We've missed
2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. We haven't had some vinegar or anything, so.
It was flawless for them because we had some in the kitty, but we got nothing left, man. So we got to bang this out. All right.
Misfire and banging things out. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
So soapbox.
Soapbox. Done forgot. But so most people are not going to leave your house or will not leave their house unlocked, door wide open. So that's the biggest thing that I've always had a complaint about. If you're not going to do that, why are you going to take such piss poor practices and, security with your business? And I'm not saying you need to go all, Department of Justice or you need to go full CMMC or, implement DOJ levels type of stuff, and everything needs to be PGP encrypted and, just all that over the top bullshit. But why are you going to let RDP in? Why are you going to not have checks and balances? Why are you not going to, do your due diligences of at least scanning your public internet?
Because my illustrious colleague, Mr. Taylor, once said they will do it for as long as possible and as cheaply as possible as they can do it. There is always someone out there willing to take no money or little money to do what will inevitably hurt this country, one client at a time.
Yes. Hello, Pizza Tex. We are talking to you.
Now, back to Emotet.
Emotet, yes.
You are Mr. IR.
Yes.
What are you seeing out there?
To be honest with you, we haven't seen a whole lot on a big scale. Everything's been really quiet, but I do expect, CISA is coming out about it, where you don't need a government official to come out about these things. Tis the season for ransomware.
But it's good that they're bringing it to the forefront because they do have a large audience.
But
so more people to ignore what they're saying. Is what I'm saying.
Exactly. Because everybody's desensitized to it. We've talked about it several times. Like, oh yeah, ransomware. Oh yeah. I think the only ones that are really going to forcibly be actively paying attention to crap like me and others who are like me are actually out there saying are those who have been through a breach and those potentially in the retail space. Because, even though ransomware is on the high or will be rising, I guarantee you PCI fraud and things of that nature is going to be even higher.
Well, did you see recently a lot of the back-end Linux servers for e-commerce have had shells in them and have been exfiltrating PCI data?
Yeah, there was actually another thing about it the other day. I wish I'd have remembered it. But there was a release or a publication put out somewhere in the UK that like 80% of their online shopping businesses have been compromised for the past 3 years.
Yeah.
I was just like, holy shit.
And I don't even look at that as them trying to get the credit card information to go spending. I think it's building targeting packages for people. Remember, Alan Liska was on a few weeks ago, and he said the really cool thing when he worked in government, and I'm paraphrasing here, so for anyone who wants to correct me, you will anyway, so whatever. He said, it's really cool to have the apparatus of the US intel community behind you, but what's even better is having that knowledge of how to target someone. If someone has a penchant for antique guns, send them an email. They're probably going to open it. Mm-hmm. Now, when you're data mining people at the velocity that China, Russia, North Korea, and Iran are doing it, they can build targeting packages on anyone to target you. Send you that email that you're going to click on. Eric, what do we send Eric? Crayons?
Crayons. Yes, crayons.
But that's the point, right? We give our information freely and multiple people can build targeting packages, and you may not be of interest to an intel agency, but maybe someone you know is. Or maybe you are part in a 3-step, 4-step chain to get to someone. Mm-hmm. And that's how you have to look at these things.
I think we've mentioned it before, or maybe it was a different podcast or something that we were listening to or whatever, but I'm pretty sure it was us. The fact that I'm surprised that somebody, at least publicly, has not come out and be like, yeah, we've been able to archive all these data breaches and we don't need to steal your identity anymore. There's been so many data breaches out here. We just, archived all this stuff, put it together, mined it, and now we know everything about you just from publicly leaked data.
Yeah. There's nothing. Anyone can be OSINTed at this point.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's crazy.
So what article is first up that we got here that we're going to take a look at?
So you mentioned it in the segue there, talking about Emotet, that's back, and I said it's back, and this time it's pissed. Emotet, for those who don't fully understand what Emotet is, it is a malicious program. It's a malware that is essentially a pay-to-play platform when it's all said and done with. So you will get infected with an Emotet malware infection. Typically, in the past, we've seen it through Microsoft Word documents, Excel documents, malicious
Shut
PDFs.
down macros, people. It's
Yeah.
okay to protect yourselves.
Maliciously encoded PDF files, things of that nature. And then emotet operators, if I could get that sentence out, they will sell access to compromised networks to third-party people who want to do the harm.
So do we call this persistence as a service?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Just like a trick bot and things of that nature. But emotet, if memory serves me well, and somebody will correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sure, but if I remember correctly, emotet dropped in and then TrickBot came in on top of emotet. And maybe it's the other way around, but
now TrickBot is being used to spread emotet, to bring it back to life. And there's two segues I want to get into here, that we're seeing a collaborative nature among the ransomware groups where they're helping other platforms to engage and become persistent. And I recently read an article, see if I can dig up that link for you. Chinese and Russian hackers are starting to collaborate with each other on the hacking forums. Now, what happens to us? We're screwed because we all like playing in our little silos, right? Me as an IT practitioner loves to shit on other IT practitioners, as do you with other IR companies and Kaseya especially, but they don't count. Or when are we going to stop tearing each other down and start having that open collaborative relationship to really fight these guys? Because if the Russians and Chinese are going to work together while they're hacking each other, and there was also another article recently where North Korean operatives, cyber operatives, have been trying to fish Chinese hackers to get new TTPs and tools and what have you. When are we going to start doing that? And I believe General Nakasone of the NSA is calling for a deeper working relationship with private and public sector.
Yeah, and this is going to be something that will potentially trigger you. Are you now an advocate for the rise of all ships?
No.
But see, that's kind of the double-sided coin there. If we're going to have, in all honesty, if we're going to have an open collaborative with the industry leaders, partners, other people in the community, whatever the fuck you want to call us this week, in whatever vertical that you're in. Oh, fuck.
Well, actually, to be a thought leader, you need to have a product to sell the masses.
Well, so that's just a influencer then.
That's a salesperson with a fancy title.
True. This is where a lot of the stuff, where the rubber hits the road, is how much time are we going to spend educating those who just don't freaking know and get it and understand it?
For those on video, I'm putting up double-barrel zeros here. Can't get, whatever. Here's the thing.
You're not doing the okay?
No.
Or just sign language, ladies and gentlemen. But anyway.
Dude, anything can be construed as anything these days, so fuck no. Here's my take. Growing up, when I was going to school, I was a wee lad, and Pappy used to take me to school.
Oh boy, bring out the Pappy.
He has been around in a while, right? So there was this concept of slash and burn in agriculture.
Okay? Yes.
You reap your crop, you cut everything down, you burn it, you use that to fertilize the soil, and you start over better, hopefully, right?
Mm-hmm.
We need to start doing that in cyber slash buzzword, whatever you want to call it now. I think there's a lot of practitioners that, if we're using this rising tide euphemism, their ships need to sink and let their business or their book of business go to people who actually know what they're doing and focus on raising the good. Create that high standard for people to aspire to be.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the people who coined the term of raising the tide to me, and maybe you can go with this, is Matt Lee.
Yep.
I like his idea of raising the tide. I think it's really hard for a vendor to do that because they would eventually have to get to a point where they have to say no to revenue. And I don't think any vendor is going to do that now, especially where the economy is or may go or what have you.
Yeah.
So coming back to your question, no, I don't think this is a raising the tide thing. I think it is a raising the tide thing. but you got to let some sink. You really can't. You can't take everyone along for the ride. And our enemy, adversary, whatever you want to call it, they're more dynamic. They have more numbers than they've ever had before, and they are smart. They're not posting pictures of themselves with a CISSP provisional letter saying, "Hey, hire me, pay me $255,000 a year." They're going out, getting persistence, ransoming companies, and making that $255,000 for a couple hours worth of work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. We definitely can't be in a nuke and pave as much as I want to be. Like, I just want to nuke things and freaking just run over with a with a plow, right? But yeah, it's we've got to get.
I have a thought on that. Parallel construction. Government loves doing it all the time, right?
Yeah.
Why don't we build what we need while we try to, plug the holes in what we have? And when what we need is built to a certain point, you do a hard cutover.
They tried that with CMMC and look what that got them.
CMMC was marred with issues from the beginning, man. It was set up to fail. Like, CMMC would stop a lot of people from making a lot of money on the sly, so it had to die. It had to become what it is today.
Yeah, so it's just stuck back with 800.171, which is
800.171 is not bad. What's bad is self-attestation.
Yeah.
Right?
And people are still not doing half of the crap that's in there, I guarantee you.
There's a favorite story I love telling at this point, that one DIB company that serves governments, companies, international, domestic, whatever, had a call with them yesterday. Still running all of their breach shit.
Jeez.
And it's been 8 months, 6 months. Nothing's been updated. Like, they are still in that weird space of being owned. So
when you say breach shit, that they've already been compromised to some degree?
Based on, I'll tell you offline, but based on the software that they are running and the fact that it still has not been patched, even though it's about 4 different major vulnerabilities that have been announced in the last 2 years have not been patched, and they're still running it. And the fact that their product is in every government agency, military, Fortune 500, Fortune 1000, international companies, international governments.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason they haven't been ransomed is because I would assume their product has been compromised to become jump points.
That's sad.
It is, and no one's going to do anything about it when it finally pops. When it finally gets popped,
Yeah, that goes back to what I've always said. They're going to do it as cheap and as long as possible until they're forced to do otherwise. They're running legacy patches, and nobody's going to force them to move or to change it.
And they don't have to.
Exactly, because nobody's going to force them to. Nobody's going to hold their feet to the fire and say, you must update, you must change, you must do this. So there's no incentive to them. I guarantee you probably the ransomware or whatever breach happens is going to be far less than the money they're making right now by continuing operations.
I will tell you right now, whatever breach they have, because I have no doubt that they have been breached. I mean, when I tell you what they're running, you're going to sit there, laugh, and then you're going to cry. Or maybe you'll cry and then you'll laugh. There will be crying and laughter. This is not the type of company that you pop with ransomware. This is the kind of company you maintain persistence, you make sure their product is compromised, and you make sure it's sold to as many entities as possible. Because this is about intelligence collection. This is not about, grabbing, even if you had a $70 million ransom on these guys, that would pale into comparison the data that they could exfiltrate from their clients.
That is crazy, man. And I mean, this is just for those listening and watching, this is just one fictional character, right, that we're talking about.
Not fictional. This is a true story.
Yeah, I'll try to put fiction out there for you. I'll try to protect you.
No, listen, it's a true story. I don't care. Like, I've told them, I'm like, you got to do this, this, and this. They just don't care.
Yeah. And how many more companies are out there that are just like
thousands?
Exactly. hundreds, tens of thousands, or tens or hundreds of thousands of people that are out there like this. And that's the part that really just irks the shit out of me. It's,
It's an it is what it is situation. Like, if they don't want to do anything about it, you got to move on, right? You can't force them. You can't force their hand.
But here's the other side of the equation that you and I always talk about. We're always kind of like, we don't know what to exactly do. And maybe those who are listening can tell us. But at what point does it come when you stand on top of a roof with a bullhorn and start screaming about the issues?
That's what
you and I know. Yeah, but we're not naming and shaming, right? So, I mean, we're not.
Honestly, dude, the only reason I am not naming and shaming is because the value of this company to the international community, not just the international IC, but the international community. This is a company that is in every type of industry and business you can possibly fathom.
Yeah,
and often overlooked.
But take this particular situation that we're talking about, and you multiply it by the ones that we've talked about offline. You know, the payment processing company that's MSP specific, that has an open install script sitting on the internet that we've talked about several times.
Well, that's just about connecting people and boosting revenue.
Yeah. You know, there's so many different other companies as well that we talk about, and we should, like, when do we just say fuck it all and start screaming about this stuff?
When people care. And quite frankly, people don't care because there's too much effort on keeping the status quo the status quo.
But how do we know if people are not going to care unless somebody like us, and I'm not saying I'm not saying to out this particular person, I'm just saying any other people that we talk about, you know, on the private, unless we start naming and shaming and say, look, these guys are literal trash, kind of like what we do with Kaseya, but their stuff is publicly.
You know what, Cisa, here's something I want you guys to do, whether you listen to us or not. We have CVEs for when vulnerabilities are found, right?
Yep.
Let's create some version of a reporting system to report companies like this and say, hey, we're going to register our findings against your company and its lack of security. And you have 30 days to get back to us. Otherwise, it goes public on a CISO website with the number, like a CVE number and a score and everything else.
And those who are listening, CVE is very limited in its scope, right? Of what you could better report to it. So
what I'm looking to show is you have a government agency like CISA who wants to raise the tide from everything they're doing, you know, that they're moving. We're looking to make more progress now with cyber than I think we've ever had from a governmental standpoint. So let them administer a website where someone can go and say, hey, we found all these issues with this company. We gave them 30 days. They just ignored it. We want to give it to you. Whether you make it public or you reach out to them directly and then make it public in another 30 days, that's between you and them. At least it gives the opportunity to prevent further compromise.
But CISO's not staffed to do that.
Not my problem, man. Like, I'm not staffed to do that.
No.
Right?
But
like,
there's no
CISA has their new website, put up a few job postings, let people do this shit.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I mean, there's no government organization that's has enough people on standby to be able to handle the crap that's going to be thrown at it, and they'll have to still weigh out. Even so, to take a little bit of a pivot, those who have a bug bounty program or vulnerability disclosure program, you know, they get inundated all the time about, you know, malicious scanners and, oh, we found this open, you know, text file on your website. Will you please pay me for my finding?
Let me ask you a question. Somebody wants to go play in the NFL. They got to train their ass off.
Mm-hmm.
They got to audition. They got to jump through all kinds of fucking ropes to get there, right?
Yep.
This ain't no different.
If you have an open forum for them to be able to do that,
you want to play, this is how you play. Like, we got to set this stuff up. We got to stop talking about setting this stuff up. Stop talking about hiring 200 people in the next 50 days or 2,000 people, whatever the numbers are for this new CISA website. And listen, I'm not faulting them for what they're doing with this job site. I really hope that they're not going to look for $250,000 people to patch Windows, to patch systems of known vulnerabilities. I hope they're not going to use a $250,000 a year person to implement MFA.
That reminds me. Has anybody ever come out and said if they've been able to implement MFA or not because of Biden's executive order?
There was a schedule update, I want to say within the last 2 months, of where the process and progress is or has been.
Let me guess, it's horrible.
I forget. I don't know. I don't want to say what it is because I don't know. But listen, you know me. I don't care how big an organization is. If you need MFA, you can get that shit rolled out within 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The first week, I would do half of my administrators. Second week, the other half of my administrators to make sure there's no lockouts. After that, fucking flip that bitch on and MFA everybody. It's like Oprah. You get MFA. You get MFA.
You get MFA.
You get MFA.
Everybody gets MFA.
Okay. I vote for Oprah to be the head of MFA implementation. Because at least it'll probably get done.
Or at least Oprah would just delegate it to somebody because, but
Dude,
at least something's getting done, I guess.
I'm seeing things. I've seen things for SBOMs. I've seen things for MFA. I've seen things for Zero Trust. I've seen things for every buzzword under the sun in the last 10 months.
Mm-hmm.
Or you know what? When was President Biden's executive order? May 14th-ish, 12th. So that puts us at about 5 months, give or take 6 months. Most of the things in that executive order, in my opinion, should have been accomplished. These long-winded timetables are not doing us any favors.
Yep, released on May 12th, 2021.
There you go. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a IT guy that does IT.
Playing in your own sandbox.
Speaking of which, thanks to you, I went wider with Darkcube this week and last week.
Uh-oh.
There's a lot of bad fucking IPs out there, dude.
Yeah, there is.
Like, for those of you listening, Darkcube scores on a 9-point cube.
Mm-hmm.
So 1 to 3, relatively benign. 4, 5, 6, whatever. 7, could be bad, could be not. 8 and 9, just fucking auto block that shit. I'm seeing a lot of level 7s, which could be bad, could be good, popping up from Linode servers and DigitalOcean servers, and they're just doing enumerating port scans.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I'm seeing is a lot of this traffic is coming to firewalls that have their administrative console open to the interwebs.
Yep.
So here's my public service announcement. It is now November 23rd, a couple days before Thanksgiving. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have a firewall, please put in access control rules to limit what IPs and personnel can access your firewall from a public interface.
Or, I don't know. I know it causes problems, but I would much rather people have a VPN set up to at least VPN into their network to access the firewall.
Dude, let me put it to you this way. I think VPNs need to die because every month is a new CVE on a new VPN. Fat pipe, we're looking at you. Make it locally accessible.
The only reason I'm saying VPN is, especially like right now, IT, cyber guys, everybody is traveling, right? So if you want to potentially lower the risk of, some sort of exploitation of, remote access tool, like I say, a Screen Connect, a Splash Top, a Data, whatever, at least you have something you can be able to log as a VPN accesses.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather use a Datto to jump into a local computer and hit it from the local interface.
Yeah.
At least, there's some type of security, we'd hope. At least that's what we're told, right?
But that goes back to, I mean, not to shit on Datto. Well, this may be a little shitty on Datto, but most of these cloud RMM tools don't allow us to look at the logs like that.
No, they don't. But at the same time, Datto does record who does a remote session, and it's readily available on the portal. But I'd rather jump into a box, authenticate, and then authenticate into a local interface onto a firewall than even having an ACL that allows me public access to a WAN admin page.
Now, I still rather VPN with MFA authentication on it, and then I can access it.
I've been doing a lot more with Sonic Walls these days.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm not. They have built-in TOTP, which is nice.
It's still not MFA.
It's not MFA, but what does Sophos have?
I don't know. What does
that is available? That is available out of the box.
I don't know. I know my
goose eggs.
I won't say the firewall I use. Let me just do that because that's not going to be a good idea.
But using Unify, that is not a firewall.
No, it's a router. It's even better. It just routes the shit.
There you go.
But mine has TOTP built into it as well. So, and then we can up it by integrating MFA. So,
which I think everybody should be doing. What are you doing for MFA on local admin users and servers? Are you rolling Duo or any other MFA platform?
Yeah.
And do you have full deployment?
Yep.
For your managed customers, at least?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
They had
anybody who's considered executive or AKA C-level suite and that, they get MFA.
I gotta ask you something here. What do you think if I went into a municipality last week?
No boy.
To do I don't want to call it an audit, just to see what services can be provided for them. And I said, okay, hey, can we drop this, give a USB drive? Can we take the application on this USB drive, install it on your server, and can you give me administrative credentials? And you know what they did?
They did it.
Plug it right in, install the agent onto the server, boom, done. And guess what they did? Emailed username and password.
Oh my God.
Like, this is what we're dealing with, right? Like, this is why we started doing this podcast. It's to talk about doing better.
Yeah.
But if our municipalities are doing this, what's to say that the SMB, the enterprise, they're not doing the same thing?
Oh, they are. I mean, look, you got the whole quote unquote trickle down, whatever. But if your government and your local and state municipalities are not doing a certain level of security, how are we supposed to really expect our businesses to do it?
We're not.
Exactly. That's the problem.
What about the fact when you and I go into a client, or us, not a client, sorry, a prospect, and we're priced out because we're mid to high priced relative to someone charging next to nothing, who's not actually providing any value?
Yeah, there's just welcome to the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we struggle with every freaking week.
And it is what it is kind of thing, right? Like, I hate to keep defaulting to that phrase, but I think once you understand that phrase and you begin to accept it, it helps you move on to help those. And when I say help, charge people to do work for them, not the marketing bullshit of, hi, I'll help you, and then send you an invoice. Bring value to people.
Yeah, I mean, you can't help those who don't want to help themselves, ultimately.
Yeah.
So, one person always told me, always be scared of someone who said it is what it is, because they just don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
It's like, it is. Okay, I can do it. It isn't. All right, fuck it, I'm on.
Yeah. And it's not that it's dangerous. It's that person is dangerous because they understand what's going on. It's not that person doesn't care or has any kind of affect. It's just like, you want to do it the right way? Great. You don't want to do it the right way? Great. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe that should be the name of this episode. It is
what it is. Hashtag Dark Cubed.
Oh yeah, I fucking love Dark Cubed.
It's a good, really good syslog aggregator. It really is.
What I like about it is that it's looking at the live traffic, like real traffic you're hitting, and it's blocking it. It's not inundating your firewall with IPs that you have never hit. It uses your historical correlation. So, what else you got going on?
Really, I'm just still trying to recover from class last week. That was massive.
Tell the people what you will be able to charge them.
So I still got to go get certified, but just wrapped up advanced Windows and Linux forensics with SANS, and in January taking network forensics. So help round out that whole internal network.
And you did something about a month ago, another SANS course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was that was just I guess the introductory basic Windows IR.
Okay.
So
and just to keep the people updated on the life that is Mr. Taylor, there's also another I don't want to call it certification, but another program you're going to with a certain vendor of ours to do IR. You can say it if you want. I don't want to put it out there.
I'm drawing a blank.
Nick and Company.
I'm still drawing a blank.
Okay. You're supposed to be getting your incident response certification for CrowdStrike.
Oh, yes. Cat's out of the bag. Yep.
We need to get you an assistant.
We did. Yeah. Dude, yes. I've been thinking strongly about that. So if you're listening to this podcast and you're an awesome administrative assistant, please reach out. Anyway.
Too easy. Anyway. So when do you go live with being able to offer the services for these classes you've taken so far?
Right now I can.
Okay.
You know, we are an incident response firm. We are just going through.
You're bettering yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. I can dig that. Do you get, more importantly, do you get any acronyms that you get to add to the end of your name?
I don't know if I'm allowed to add them to the end of my name, but I can put up big plaques and stuff like that. Because
you're not real in the InfoSec community, especially on Twitter or LinkedIn, if you don't have a page showing I have acronyms for after my name.
I don't care about that.
I know you don't, but the Twitter world does.
I don't have the big beard either.
But that's okay. You're incognito. Right? That's that whole pen testing thing that we discussed. But the reason I bring this up is, you know, you look at, and I keep going back to what CISA is doing with this website, because I do like the idea of it to get better talent in. I just hope we're not going to be hamstrung by the old way of thinking where you need this type of degree to do these things. You need this type of training to do these things, because the bad actors, I don't think any of them have any certifications. And they understand what they're doing, and that's how they are as effective as they are.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said from those who, of course, went to the schooling and got the certifications, but that is the practical knowledge. It's not the application knowledge. And the application will run circles around practical every day of the week, right? Because you may, I'll hold up an iPhone that don't turn on, like, okay, you know, you have an iPhone. And as we noticed with Jonathan the other day, you can hook up the USB dongle where you can start pulling SIM traffic and everything. And thanks, Jonathan. I've actually ordered a couple iPhones so I can start bricking those here soon, and then calling you crying for asking for help. But and you know, there's ways that you'd be able to get around stuff. So being able to know that there is an exploit from a CVE, for example, and being able to actually put together the exploit is two different things, right? So always be scared of those quote unquote basement hackers that have literally little to no life, that all they get to do is fuck around with shit.
That's what hacking is, right?
Mostly.
Literally, hacking was just banging on something in one way, shape, or the other to manipulate it to do something that other than what it was intended to do.
Exactly.
Or publicly intended to do.
Making a device do unexpected results.
Yeah. And for those of you who are wondering who we're talking about, Jonathan Scott, I think it's Jonathan Data 1 on Twitter.
Yes.
He was a guest on our podcast 2 weeks ago by the time this one airs.
Yep.
Per se. Smart dude. Recently posted a video of how SIM cards upload XML into a phone to create backdoors for all carriers. And I asked him, it does apply to eSIMs, not just the physical. So all of those of you who think because you use Signal, Wicker, or any of these other platforms or Telegram, your phone's secure? No, you're not. Sorry, John.
Sorry, you've worked it in. Finally, bucket list thing checked. Anyway, but I do wonder when you talk about this like Signal and things of that nature. Squirrel moment. Did you see where Meta has pushed off its end-to-end encryption for WhatsApp and Instagram?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be too hard to implement that.
Meta is going to be a dumpster fire for security.
It already is.
If it's bad now, it will be infinitely worse. It's going to be Palantir on steroids. That's what Meta is going to be.
Yeah. That whole Meta thing is just, I still cannot get my head wrapped around that stupid shit. I really can't. I mean, you're going to inject yourself into the quote unquote metaverse. I mean, what the fuck, people?
Well, you got to understand, for a lot of people, Facebook is the universe, right? Like their lives exist to be in and around Facebook posts, communities, and everything else.
I just don't get it. I mean, maybe we're just too old. I don't know.
Maybe. You know, it's social hacking, right? It's my new favorite line, aside from it is what it is enragement equals engagement. It doesn't matter what people are doing, as long as you're engaging, they are winning. So, but anything else?
Nah, that's pretty much it. Just bolting everything down, and hopefully it'll be a quiet week in the information security world. And
not for you. You want the ransomware attacks. You need the
ransomware attacks. I said 3 foot from a fucking wall. You, sir, cannot handle the truth.
No, sir, they cannot.
Oh, that's going to be another movie that I'm going to have to go watch.
This is a good weekend for that movie. And to those of you who may be too young to understand what we're talking about, it's a little classic called A Few Good Men, which starred Tom Cruise, who was in the greatest movie of all time, called Top Gun.
Top Gun, yep.
Anyone who disagrees, fuck you. And that's all I got.
But, okay. So...
Or not.
Never mind. I was going to go on the...
No, let's do it.
No, I don't want to...
No. Thursday episode.
No, I don't want to do it. No, I'm not.
You have our millions of one followers.
It's going to go down a dark religious road that should not be discussed on here.
Why not?
No, I'm not going to do it. We'll do it offline.
Right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you've laughed along with us, thanks so much, because we are trying to enjoy some of the lighter side of technology and cybersecurity. If you found this thing enjoyable, please share it with somebody that you know and love and will enjoy it as well. And until next time, take care of yourselves.